it's been a long time since the last episode. I'm actually kind of having trouble remembering. What's the last thing that happened again in the future arc? Oh, right! Hina fucking died! Awesome, dude. I still can't fucking believe they just killed her off after giving her one singular scene's worth of character development. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Did you really just do that? Are you yanking my chain right now? You fucking baited Hina's death for a cheap cliffhanger? Are you fucking kidding me? And I'm not talking about like a, oh no, what happened? Did he get shot? Who took the bullet? Woo! Cliffhanger. They show Hina dead on the ground in a puddle of red liquid with a knife sticking out of her chest, and then you fucking cut the broadcast. You straight up just said she's fucking dead so that we don't have a cry about it, and then in the very next episode you said, fucking idiot, she was alive all along, lol. Fuck off, you dumbass writers. Stop baiting the deaths of beloved characters to elicit an emotional reaction just so you can undo them the very next chance you get. You better not try to pull any more of this bullshit, I swear to God. Also, wait a minute, how the fuck was that knife even sticking up straight? To try to stand up an object with this flat of a surface would be hard enough on a standard table, but to have it stand upright on a human body that'd be constantly shifting because she'd be constantly breathing? Fucking really? How in the world could you have possibly... Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me! I am not going to dissect the anatomy behind why this makes no fucking sense at all. If you don't get it, that's not my problem. Oh, and that red liquid? Turns out it was just tomato sauce. Why the fuck is there tomato sauce in this room? Why is there a toy knife in this room? Well, you see, those questions are going to be answered later, but don't expect the explanation to make any kind of sense whatsoever. You know what? Let's play a game. Go ahead and take a guess in the comments as to how you think these items got into this room. And we'll see how things turn out when we get to episode 7. Oh, and I'm pretty sure they changed the blood to be red specifically so they can have this fake out with the fucking tomato sauce, which fuck you dumbass show. By the way, you didn't actually think they'd survived around with no deaths this time, did you? Fucking lol, Mumu's dead now. Awesome. Not like anybody actually cares because we had less than an hour to get to know him before he died. But the more pressing concern is how the fuck did it take you this long to notice his corpse and it was right in front of you the whole damn time? Like seriously, how could anybody with a functioning pair of eyes possibly miss this when you woke up staring directly at him? Look at that! Also, guys, please, let's take another trip to the thinking chair.
Let's think.
No! We have someone suspended in midair in a room where the only possible suspects are the protagonist, his best friend who the writers clearly don't have the guts to harm or vilify in any way, and a girl who's confined to a wheelchair. Makoto and Hina obviously wouldn't accuse each other because they know they'd never do this after what happened in the first game and also aren't fucking stupid enough to kill anyone when the game ends if nobody dies. And McQueen couldn't possibly have done this from a wheelchair. I don't know, guys. Maybe they're being brainwashed into a suicide with the monitor that's not 2 inches away from the dead body. Come the hell on, how hard is it to figure this out? Then we get a scene starring Veruca and boyfriend, followed by one featuring the Seal Samurai and Madden. Literally, who fucking cares? We aren't given enough time to get invested in any of these new characters because we have to keep the pace moving at breakneck speed, because this is a TV show that's trying to tell a story that clearly should have just been told on a video game. And you know what, since fuck all is happening in the plot right now, let's take a break for a second to talk about this core writing decision. This is the final story in the Danganronpa franchise, or at least the Hope's Peak Academy saga. This is it. We're in the endgame now. The focus of a final story is supposed to be to wrap up all the loose plot lines previously built up over the course of the series, to deliver satisfying conclusions for character relationships, and provide payoffs for characters we've been following for years, be them big or small. So why would you choose to introduce an entirely new cast of characters in the finale of your story? Anybody who survived the tidal wave of Danganronpa bullshit and made it to this point is here because they're invested in the conflicts that have been established since the first game, and because they care about the characters that we've all come to know and love, or hate with a fiery passion, over the course of the entire franchise, and we want to see how their stories end. We're not here to meet a new team of idiots. We are now split into 3 distinct teams, one of which is being carried solely by an iconic duo from the first game, another of which is being hardcore carried by one of the most perceptive and intelligent characters in the entire series, and another of which consists of entirely new characters that are complete shitheads that nobody cares about. Actually, no, fuck that, let's be direct this time. Spike Chunsoft, this is the same damn bullshit you pulled in Zero Escape, and it failed colossally in that game, so I don't know why you thought it would work differently for Danganronpa. But if I can extend an olive branch, allow me to present an example of a different story that serves as a proper conclusion to its franchise, that also happened to introduce a few new characters along the way. Toy Story 3.
Fucking idiot! Toy Story 4 is the finale finale of the saga.
No, shut the fuck up! Pixar would never have made a movie that seeks to assassinate and invalidate the character arcs and journeys of all three main characters from the original trilogy, almost in a calculated scientific manner. This was a nightmarish fever dream I had. This movie doesn't exist. Anyway, Toy Story 3 has the toys searching for a new home in anticipation of Andy leaving for college, which then leads to them meeting up with Lotso and his band of misfits at Sunnyside Daycare, as well as Woody encountering the toys at Bonnie's house. This movie serves as the cinematic capstone to the Toy Story franchise. Now shut the fuck up! While also introducing a new cast of characters. How are they able to get away with this, you may ask? Because the core story isn't about the new characters. The focus is still on Woody and the gang, on this family of toys that has been to the ends of the earth and back together, and are now moving on to the next phase of their lives as Andy gives them to a little girl who will get far more use out of them than a college-bound kid ever will. The villains are used as a means to help reinforce the conclusion of all their character journeys, as they realize that they need to be there for Andy as he leaves for college. The new characters are not the focus of the narrative, and the ones that play a major role are given the proper development needed to be fleshed out while directly tying into the development of our main cast of characters. And the toys that Woody meets at Bonnie's house define the finale of the film, as this playtime sequence is what gives him the idea to donate the toys to her in the first place, and deliver the most emotionally impactful finale to a story that I have ever seen in my life. Meanwhile, in the land of let's do whatever we want because fuck you, that's why, they are actively trying to make you care about a cast of almost entirely new characters, and the people we actually care about and whose stories we actually want to see concluded are not given anywhere near the amount of development or screen time that they deserve. The conflict is the exact same as always, albeit with an exponentially dumber set of rules this time around, and the most engaging part of the games has always been the characters themselves. But we already have our cast. We already have our team. This is supposed to be the grand finale, the coup de grace. Why the fuck are you giving so much time and attention to things 1, 2, and 3 while essentially sidelining the 3 people on the damn poster of the fucking show and separating one of them from the other 2 for almost the entire series? Fuck you, you dumbass show. Let's get back to the plot. Hina takes off her shirt for reasons. And then she says,
"All right, people. The name of the game is survive and find the attacker."
No, the name of the game is just to survive. There clearly isn't actually an attacker roaming about. Just smash on the fucking monitors and then you win. So they want to get in contact with everyone and try to figure out who the attacker is, and McQueen says that they can do that by hacking into the intercom system and— Stop. You can do what now? You can hack into the intercom system. Well, gee, sure is a good thing Monokuma didn't disable that when he was shutting things down. That's pretty convenient for you, wouldn't you say? Moving on, the plan is to head to the monitoring room and use the main intercom controls to talk to everyone at the same time, and so they set off on their quest, at which point McQueen does this. Now, you may be wondering why she did that instead of just turning right like a normal human being. Perhaps she adopted the reverse of Doc's advice during her time at Radiator Springs. But no, it turns out that her secret achievement is that she can't turn right. You can't do what? You can't fucking turn right? Then what the fuck do you call this nonsense? Looks like you're turning right to me, you jelly bean. So now that the show has officially annihilated its consistency in regards to the wristband rules, McQueen proceeds to have a fucking panic attack over the fact that Makoto discovered her secret achievement despite the fact that these two literally have no reason to betray you. But more importantly than that, this music plays.
Oh no! You discovered my forbidden action! I'm doomed!
Toccata and Fugue in D minor. You do realize that that is an actual thing outside of Ace Attorney, right? Yes, of course I realize that. But when you stack all these things up against each other, it starts looking less and less like a coincidence and a lot more deliberate. And it gets really hard to ignore at a certain point. So then they all share each other's secret achievements, including Hina, who isn't allowed to be hit with a punch or kick. And it's a big happy moment about how much they trust each other, but it gets cut short when it is revealed that Hina has super hearing, as she basically heard the equivalent of a pin drop somewhere in the building. Apparently she hears someone's footsteps somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, and so she decides to abandon Makoto and divert whoever is walking through the halls while he runs to the monitoring room, and McQueen takes off with the speed of sound to follow her. I'm sorry, what? Why are you doing this? The one they're actually interested in killing is Makoto. Why would they care about you if they see you don't have him with you? Why would you leave Makoto all by himself? He can't run away if the Steel Samurai or Matt tries to kill him thanks to his fucking wristband. In fact, the person you're running toward right now could in and of itself be a diversion designed to isolate Makoto. Why are you even the one diverting their attention when you're the one who can't get hit by a punch or kick? What happens if you get into a scrap with them? What then? McQueen is clearly the fastest out of all of you since she has a V8 strapped to her ass. So why wouldn't you want her to be the diversion since there's clearly no chance anybody could ever possibly catch up to her? And actually, why do you even need a distraction at all? Just stealth walk your way to the conference room. Or hell, just blast off at the speed of sound to the conference room on your portable race car. They're gonna figure out where you are anyway when you yell at them over the intercom. It's gonna be pretty fucking obvious at that point, so why even bother? Then Corona runs down the hall after Hina and McQueen like she's a crocodile distracted by her throwing a skull into the pool. pool she's swimming in. Next, we get a scene where Yasuhiro is yelling at the top of his lungs from outside of a building that's completely sealed off because he is a fucking idiot. Then a helicopter shows up out of nowhere and starts shooting at him, and so he fucking dies. Oh wait, no he doesn't, because it is revealed that Yasuhiro is bulletproof. Or at least that's what I'm assuming, because if he isn't, then he is super dead right now. The Gatling gun had a direct shot at him. How could you possibly not hit your target? Oh, and remember when the helicopter just completely ignored him earlier? Yeah, well, not anymore. Now they want him dead. Awesome. Also, it's worth noting here that someone is flying this helicopter, actively trying to kill a member of the Future Foundation. Please remember this scene, because the show is going to try so hard to make you forget all about it 9 episodes from now. Moving on, Kyoko tries to investigate by herself, but Old Guy and John Lasseter say nah because they're assholes and don't think she can handle herself. Fucking. Then they refuse to show each other their secret achievements, which, again, makes no fucking sense at all, but we already went over that last time, so let's just keep going. Makoto comes over the intercom to announce that Mumu committed the big die, and then to try to convince people to trust him, he reveals his secret achievement and recaps the events of Danganronpa 2 and his role in reforming the Remnants of Despair, and tries to give you an epileptic seizure in the process.
We all have our point of view.
Now shut the fuck up! There's only one truth to what happened at Jabberwock Island. A singular series of unchanging events took place on the island no matter what anybody says. The Steel Samurai doesn't have his own perspective on what you did. He's just fucking wrong. There is only one truth. I guess you guys forgot to copy that part of Ace Attorney over when you pilfered the rest of it. Anyway, as expected, his motivational speech does fuck all, and then the Steel Samurai delivers what I can only describe as verbal diarrhea.
He speaks of hope without having seen true despair.
Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? Makoto Naegi has never seen true despair? The man who discovered the dead body of his childhood friend. The man who watched over half of his classmates be murdered in the Killing Game. The man who came face to face with Junko Enoshima not once, but twice. And the man whose sister is currently facing off against an army of killer Monokuma robots, which is a fact he is fully cognizant of. What are you smoking, you gelatinous meerkat? They immediately figure out where Makoto is because of fucking course that was going to happen, and then we get another scene with Veruca and boyfriend. Woohoo. Veruca reminds the audience of how much of a bitch she is, and then Corona shows up out of fucking nowhere. Weren't you supposed to be following Hina and McQueen? What happened to that storyline? Veruca and Corona proceed to accuse each other of being the traitor and— Wait, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Where did you pull that theory from? 2 fucking seconds ago you were bitching about how Makoto should be targeted first, and now you jumped on board the Corona's the traitor train? Oh, apparently it's because Corona deals with drugs a lot, and therefore it makes sense that she would have been able to put the drugs in the bracelets. As if that's the only skill required to orchestrate an attack as large scale as this, you geriatric fucknumpty. But before you get the chance to think about how this makes absolutely no sense, the script suffers a case of hemorrhaging so bad that it even outstrips the aphrodisiac nonsense from last time. Corona suddenly downs an entire bottle of pills, and so she fucking dies. Oh wait, no she doesn't, because the concept of an overdose is foreign to these writers. Which I guess makes sense, since I don't know how they could have possibly written this story unless they were high off their asses. Instead of fucking dying, her hair grows about 10 feet longer, and her muscles are stimulated as she loses her collective fucking mind and transforms into a carnivorous lion. And so boyfriend throws a spear at Corona. Wait, I guess that name doesn't really work anymore. Boyfriend throws a spear at Nala, and so she fucking dies. Except, oh wait, no she doesn't, because she caught the fucking spear with her teeth, and then proceeds to shatter it to pieces by biting it. What? What in the actual fuck just happened? How are you not dead from an overdose? How did you concoct a steroid that makes your hair grow? And you also made one that evolves your teeth into becoming indestructible, apparently? How did all this happen in a matter of seconds? How did you open your mouth and then close it with frame-perfect timing to catch the blade between your teeth? The thing would have gone right through your skull and killed you instantly. Who wrote this script? So then Nala chases after Pumbaa, boyfriend and Veruca, and Ray says—
Well, that was a thing.
Yes, it was.
Wait, hang on. How are you so nonchalant after watching that madness unfold? So then John Lasseter and Old Guy jerk off about how great Makoto is, and Kyoko stares off into space, deep in thought, but is then attacked with a chair and then proceeds to sustain no damage from being hit with an office chair. No one saw this. Really, not a single one of you who was already looking in this direction saw or heard him sneak up behind Kyoko and bash her on the head with an office chair? Fucking really? That's a lot of eyeballs doing nothing. How do you go from being right next to her to being 10 feet away from her? Why did you just give up after the first swing? How are you not unconscious from being clocked with an office chair? Do you know how heavy those damn things are? Oh, and I hope you weren't interested in seeing how this was gonna end, because we cut away to Makoto sighing as the Steel Samurai literally breaks into the room through the window. Woohoo. Then, because the Steel Samurai didn't get to fully finish his verbal diarrhea from earlier and actually held some in, we get some more for this scene. I'll run you through all the dialogue and then we'll dissect it all. Please try to stay with me here, people. The Steel Samurai says that he watched Makoto on the broadcast, but that he only won because it was merely a game, and that the guidelines for survival in the first game were crystal clear, as opposed to the rules right now, which are non-existent. What in the flying fuck did you just say? Only a game? Bitch, the Hunger Games is technically only a game, but people are still fucking dying in there. And Makoto won outside the game. The killing game was no longer going on when he faced off against Junko Enoshima. Also, did you say that you watched the broadcast live on air? Hey, remember in the first episode when you questioned whether Makoto even defeated Junko at all, but now you totally shifted teams and acknowledged he wasn't lying about defeating her? What? Also, did you get dropped on your head at some point in the last 2 episodes? You are in a killing game right now! Monokuma clearly outlined what you have to do to win, but you absolutely refuse to make a plan that utilizes those rules to your advantage.
You don't know true despair.
What? What are you talking about?
He watched his friends get murdered. His sister is in Toa City right now. What are you smoking, you absolute clownfish? What Makoto is saying to you makes perfect sense. Engaging in more violence is gonna get you absolutely nowhere in a game where the winning strategy is to not kill each other. You only want him dead because you have no fucking clue how anything works. So take your soapbox excuses and shove them up your ass, you deranged and awkward turtle duck. Who wrote this script? Then the show has the most laughably ironic line ever, and the best part is that the writers are too stupid to realize what they've done. The Steel Samurai says,
If there is any truth in what you believe, let words do the fight. Let's see your rhetoric stop my blade.
you know, that's really fucking funny coming from the franchise where the final boss of your last game used literal words as one of its attacks like Robo SpongeBob. And the primary gameplay for Class Trials is to... wow, what was it again? It was something like, oh yeah, shooting words at other words! Literally weaponized words! Did you fuckers actually play these games before you wrote this script? Do you have any idea how stupid you just made yourselves look? Danganronpa literally weaponizes words, and you have this clown talking about how you can't use words as weapons. Oh, just fucking kill me now. Who wrote this? Also, this makes no sense even outside of the meta lens. Makoto wanting to use civil discourse to talk and seek a way out of the killing game, in which Monokuma has provided a brain-dead simple way out of that you just refuse to take advantage of, is very different from you actively swinging your samurai sword at him with the intent of killing him. This is a false equivalency.
And I will kill thousands if it means I vanquish despair. That is the strength of my conviction.
You're not Mr. Waternoose, you're just an idiot. So then he attacks Makoto and so he fucking dies. Or does he? I don't know, we'll have to wait for the next episode. For now, let's see what the Brady Bunch is up to. Hajime is feeling the big sad because he's completely average in every way, and then one theme song later, Mystery Girl shows up. Let's see how she interacts with Hajime.
Hey, dumbass!
What a wonderful start. You guys are really doing a bang-up job of making me truly love all your new characters so much. Except wait, this technically isn't a new character, as over the course of this conversation it is revealed that this girl is Fuyuhiko's sister from the Twilight Syndrome murder case game from Danganronpa 2. And she's here, in the Reserve Course Department. Have you spotted a glaring contradiction yet? Well, if you have, then hold on to it tight because it's going to become a very relevant part of a wider criticism that we'll be addressing shortly. Anyway, little sister is a total bitch for no reason, and she reminds the audience that one day Fuyuhiko will become the ultimate Yakuza and take over the tri-state area! Turns out she's evil and she wants to get into the main course so badly she's willing to kill one of the other students just so a slot will open up to her. Which, by the way, how can you guarantee that you'll be the one that takes their spot after you kill them? You have no idea where you are on the wait list. This plan sounds really stupid. But far more pressing than any of that is the fact that she has selected Mahiro as her target and threatens to kill her. And unfortunately, this means that little sister's fate has been sealed and we're gonna need to delete her from the show now because Mahiro must be protected at all costs lest she be killed off by bullshit writing. Hopefully there aren't any other characters that get killed off as a result of bullshit writing this season. That wouldn't be very cool. So then another new girl enters the scene and says she's on to little sister's plan and hopes to bust her before she gets the chance to kill Mahiro, whom we can assume is her bestest friend alluded to in the last episode, and so her name shall be Candace. Candace tells the little sister to not kill Mahiro, but she says nah, and before Candace gets a chance to rip her head off, Mahiro swoops in to say, please no, I fan. And so, sadly, little sister lives to fight another day. She continues to be a bitch and loudly announces to the classroom that Mahiro probably came to the Reserve Course department so she and Candace can talk about how talentless the other Reserve Course students are. Oh, you think I'm lying, right? No, listen to this dialogue.
Wait, let me guess. You wanted to go slumming it so you could mock these talentless meat sacks.
I don't... What? How is this an own? First of all, it looks like they were already paying attention to your conversation long before this, so I don't know why saying a meanie-head word would suddenly cause them to gasp in dismay. But more importantly, what did you hope to accomplish with this? She raises her voice in a way that you did as a student when people were being an asshole to you so you could get the teacher's attention without directly telling them what was going on. For instance, give me back my lunchbox! What are you gonna do, shoot words at me? No, I just want you to give me back my lunchbox! My ears have magically started working again. What's happening over here? But this tactic makes no sense here. Little sister is still the one who calls everyone meatheads. She's not speaking on behalf of these two, she's voicing her own thoughts and beliefs. This isn't the own you think it is. You just let everyone know how much of a dopey tit you are. What did you hope to accomplish with this? What are you doing? So then Hajime tries to resolve the situation to remind the audience that he's still in the scene, but it accomplishes fuck all, and it turns out it was all a prank!
Jeez, I'm pulling your leg.
Joke's on you guys! I was just pretending to be a psychopath. Candace then threatens to tell Mom what the boys are doing, which she fires back by saying that if she does, she'll suffer the wrath of snitches get stitches.
Stop snitching, motherfucker.
And then they do yell some more about how she's a bitch and not worthy of the main course, and then she tries to kill Candace and... Where the fuck is the teacher? Does anybody actually work at the school, or do you just have a bunch of babysitters playing Blue's Clues and honing their gamer skills all day? Does nobody actually care that these students are about to rip each other's heads off? Mihiru then jumps in front of the little sister to protect Candace, and this convinces her to stop being the big bad, which makes no sense at all because 1 minute ago she was more than willing to kill this same girl, yet now she hesitates at the thought of throwing a punch her way. Who wrote this jumbled excuse of a script? So then they leave because no one actually attends class at this school, and we get an immediately charming scene between these two where Mihiru expresses concern that her photography skills are lackluster. No, I'm not kidding, that is literally what they started talking about after what just happened. They just drop the issue like it never happened after about 5 seconds of Mihiru saying, "Don't poke the bear," and Candace responds by telling Mihiru this.
I believe in you with all my heart. Someday, the world's gonna see all the beauty you bring into it.
So, I hope you like what I whipped up for our lunches today.
Yeah, I ship it. Unfortunately, the last time I said I ship it in a Spike Chunsoft creation, they pulled some stupid bullshit plot twist that ultimately made me pull the fastest Uno reverse card in history. So I'm sure nothing's gonna happen that'll make me regret saying it this time. Surely. We then cut back to the main course where the Brady Bunch is at recess, and I'm starting to think they don't actually hire teachers at this school, just babysitters. Now, try to follow me on this next bit. Fujihiko takes Peiko into a dark alleyway, which is never a great way to start a story, and tells her that his wacko sister is now at the reserve course department and he's concerned that she might fuck everything up over there. And when Peiko suggests that she do something to stop her from fucking everything up, he says nah, and that he only brought up the topic so he could tell her not to do anything crazy about it. What? She didn't know about your sister until you just told her 5 seconds ago. She wouldn't have ever gotten the idea to do anything to her until you brought up the issue yourself. What is wrong with you?
What? Well, ain't this a sight? I've never even seen you two talking before, and here you are doing it all secret-like.
You've never seen them talking before? What planet are you living on? Thankfully, though, we get a brief little intermission from all the insanity of everyday Danganronpa life and can just enjoy a nice little scene with Hajime and Chiaki at the fountain. It's kinda like the scene between Makoto and Hina from last time. For once, they get a chance to slow down and talk to each other as friends. Just enjoy each other's company and bond over a shared passion, as well as talk about how there's more to life than just being talented, and it's about the connections and relationships you forge with other people in life that you care about. It's genuinely heartwarming and adorable to watch. But remember, this is Danganronpa 3! We can't have you enjoying yourself for more than a minute or two at most. So we snap right back to the bitchy little sister who wants to kill Mihiru when she has absolutely no intentions of keeping this evil plan a secret because she's really smart. So Candace does the smart thing when dealing with a murderous psychopath and actively tries to piss her off by calling her a talentless bitch and trying to slap her. But before she can start a war, Hajime teleports into the scene to stop her from attacking the little sister, and then she says,
You just signed your death warrant.
yeah, maybe you shouldn't have been actively trying to piss off the murderous psychopath, you chode. Maybe you should have tried telling Fujihiko about how much of a bitch his sister is so we can try to do something about it. And I would recommend telling one of the teachers about what's going on here, but then I remembered that there don't actually seem to be any faculty anywhere in this goddamn building. So then Candace says she swears to protect Mihiru with her life no matter what, which, even if you've never played Danganronpa 2, you should know by now that that means little sister is super dead. Next, Hajime tries to defuse the situation before it gets worse by telling little sister that she can't threaten people, and in response, she says,
What do you care? You're just some rando from the reserve course. I can do whatever I damn well please.
what building do you think you're in right now? What uniform are you wearing? Gee, it almost seems like they wrote your character to be in the main course but then retconned you into the reserve course so you can have a reason to interact with Hajime, or something crazy like that. It is revealed that the reason little sister wants to join the Salty Spittoon instead of being stuck in Super Weenie Hut Jr. is because she wants her big brother to be proud of her, which, what the fuck are you talking about? You want Fujihiko to be proud of you, and so therefore you decide that threatening to murder his classmates and just generally being a complete bitch in life is gonna help you accomplish this goal? Then Chiaki telepathically reminds Hajime about the conversation they just had, and so he summons therapist abilities out of thin air. And then he tells her that she doesn't need to be a super talented anything to become closer to her brother. She just needs to start spending time with him and working to form a closer relationship together as siblings. And for as clunky and awkward as this dialogue is, this does present an intriguing concept. The idea of the little sister seeking the approval of her brother more than anything in the world, and just going about it in the wrong way. She could seek to make amends for those she has wronged, undergo a bit of a character arc, and slowly develop an endearing familial relationship with her brother. That sounds really interesting. I can't wait to see how they handle it. She's dead. One scene later, she's fucking dead. Brutally murdered in the music room. What the fuck? What are you doing, you dumbass show? I know she has to die in order for the rest of the story to happen, but why did it have to be this soon? Why would you kill off a character the very next scene after they start to receive potentially interesting development? What the fuck was the point? Why couldn't you have slowed down the pace a little bit and spent more time with these characters, getting to know her on a personal level, and actually getting her started on her path to redemption before you just punted her out of the story? Or hell, why didn't you give her even a single fucking scene with her brother? Alright, it's because this is a TV show and you gotta keep the pace moving at breakneck speed. It's almost like this should have been a video game or something like that. Then we get the scene where I genuinely thought my brain was beginning to melt. Mahiru begs for Candace to tell her what happened to little sister because she's smart enough to immediately realize she's guilty. But then Candace says she's not guilty, which is obviously a fucking lie considering what her last line of dialogue was. But it's not even that she claims she's innocent, she literally explains to Mahiru that she wanted to watch the life leave little sister's eyes, and that she couldn't just sit around and wait for Mahiru to be killed. But then 2 seconds later she says, I couldn't hurt a fly. What? Did you fucks read your own script after you wrote it? Did anybody notice how jarring this is to hear? She basically straight up confesses to murder to Mahiru, only to then immediately double back and say that she's completely innocent. Who wrote that? How could you possibly write these two sets of dialogue back to back in the same script? But somehow Mahiru buys this bucket of bullshit and just waddles off like everything's totally normal. What are you doing? How can you go from this conversation to Mahiru happily hopping away as if Candace's classmate wasn't just murdered and your best friend all but confessed to the crime right in front of you? Then Hajime confronts her because unlike Mahiru, he can see through the bullshit and accuses her of being the killer, but then she says, nah, it was suicide, lol. And then he says it wasn't a suicide, and thus she proceeds to lose her collective fucking mind and run off because she is so obviously guilty, and then that's it. Candace and Mahiru don't show up for the rest of the episode. What the fuck are you guys doing, you brain-dead turkeys? How can you possibly dedicate a whopping 2 whole minutes of screen time to the case that single-handedly drove Fuyuhiko to want to murder Mahiru, and that ultimately led to Peiko taking the bullet for him? This immensely complicated case that was directly interwoven with the motivations of several different characters is just dropped almost instantly because this is a TV show and we gotta keep the pace moving at breakneck speed lest the audience get bored. It's almost like this should have been a video game or something. Okay, we gotta slow this right the hell down and talk about it. This show may not give 2 shits about the Twilight Syndrome murder case, but I sure as hell do. Remember when I teased a glaring inconsistency at the beginning of this episode? Well, that was just one of many, because these writers either didn't play the games before they wrote this, or they just completely forgot their own story. They're more than welcome to choose between the two, but either way it results in a broken plot that makes you want to jump out the window. So let's take this one step at a time. First and foremost, little sister was never in the reserve course. She was always a part of the main course and is shown to be regularly interacting with other main course students. But here, she's been retconned into the reserve course department just to give her the opportunity to interact with Hajime and plant the seeds of a potential character arc, only to kill her off immediately afterward. Woohoo. Also, it seems like nobody in this show knows who Candace is, which makes no sense at all, since she was also shown to be a core part of the friend group involved in this case. In fact, none of the other characters such as Ibuki or Hyoko play even a minimal role in this episode at all. We don't see anyone's interactions, we don't talk to any of them, nothing. It's like they don't even matter to this at all, which is bullshit given what we learned in the second game. Also, a major part of that game was that the story being released to the public was that the culprit was a local pervert who snuck into the school and killed her with a bag full of gravel. Oh my god, that's so fucking stupid. And yet Candace still says this.
Or maybe she offed herself. Ever think of that?
But that falls apart because everyone heard about the story the school was spinning. It is a core topic of conversation during the investigation. How could you ever possibly expect anyone to believe it was a suicide? Why would you even say it in the first place when the current working theory is in direct opposition to it? But the hits just keep on coming because we also have the blatant double back of Candace saying, I wanted to watch the life leave her eyes and she was gonna kill you if she didn't die. Immediately followed by, oh, I'm totally innocent, by the way. Please believe me, we're besties. Furthermore, Candace fucks off to Nowhere Land after this scene, so when did this conversation between Mahiru and Candace take place? You know, the scene where she finds proof that she's the killer and chooses to throw it away to protect her, which also makes no sense at all because if she had any brains, she would have just kept it and hid it or destroyed it, not fucking thrown it into the trash can where anyone could go digging around for it. Anyway, yeah, this scene just doesn't happen. Candace disappears and never comes back, and the next time we see her, she's fucking dead. So this just didn't happen. Woohoo. Which begs the question of why the hell was Fuyuhiko pissed at Mahiru if he didn't have photographic evidence of what happened? How could he possibly have figured out that she was the one who killed his sister? Did any of you fuckers actually play Danganronpa 2 before you wrote this? The events presented in this show are completely incongruent with the story presented to us in the second game. You know, for a game series it's all about finding logical inconsistencies. You guys really suck at keeping your own writing consistent. Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to watch the scene that is responsible for the self-destruction of at least a couple million of my brain cells, and that almost made me give up on this show entirely. I am going to do my best to explain this train wreck of a scene to you, so please stay with me here. So Hajime tries to go to the main course building, but is told nah because he's a reserve course student and is physically thrown away by none other than fucking Wii Sports final boss Matt himself. Woohoo. Why would you not let a reserve course student on your campus? What in the world would be a point of this? And even if that were a rule that made any sense, what makes you think that you were justified in using this level of force against him? Then Hajime asks Matt to tell him the truth about what's happening with the Twilight Syndrome murder case, and he says that an unknown intruder killed little sister and Candace died from the shock of the situation. Which, wow, okay. Your former statement just breaks your consistency even more because Hajime asks for the truth in direct opposition to him saying,
I want to know the truth, not the version they're feeding us in class.
Meaning those stories would be two different things. So how does everybody know about it in this game when Hajime had to coerce it out of Matt here? And as for the latter statement, why the fuck would you phrase it as she died from shock? That implies she was driven to suicide, which makes no sense at all because anyone with a functioning brain would know that's false after just one look at the damn crime scene. Then, and I'm not yanking your chain here, Hajime says that he's lying and is just trying to cover up the incident, and in response, Matt says,
"There's a waiting list for the reserve course. Everyone wants a spot. Their desks will be filled before their bodies have gotten cold."
What the fuck? What in the holiest the fuck did you just say? How does being accused of sweeping the crime under the rug lead to you saying, "Who cares, lol, they're just dollar signs, they'll be replaced soon"? Where is the cause and effect stringing those two sentences together? Also, even if we completely ignore the fact that their bodies would have already turned cold because of the science behind the rate of pallor mortis, why is every single adult in this universe portrayed as a heartless, horrible monster? He literally said their lives are meaningless to the bigger picture. Holy fucking shit, dude. Hajime then lashes out in anger to punch the head security guard, which was a bit of a dumb thing to do, but that doesn't mean said security guard is justified in gut punching him to knock the wind out of him and causing him to collapse to the ground and start bleeding at the mouth. He then says that Hajime and his reserve course friends are useless in life and a hassle in death. I'm not fucking kidding you, that's actual dialogue from the show. And then he spits on the body. What are you doing? Who wrote this? What the fuck is happening in the script? What is wrong with you people? Sit the fuck down and let me teach you about power dynamics. Hajime is a high school kid with no talents whatsoever. He can't fucking do anything to you no matter how hard he tried, as evidenced by how effortlessly Matt sidesteps his punch. Hajime is a defenseless teenager who got caught up in the heat of the moment and is completely incapable of dealing any significant damage to you, and yet you knock the fucking wind out of him and then spit on his body as he lies on the ground in pain. But as if that wasn't bad enough, we get this fucking line.
Take to the collar and leash already. We'll be sure to throw you the occasional bone.
What the actual fuck? Who wrote that? Who wrote this diuretic excrement and called it a script? Why is every single new character you introduce so goddamn terrible? Are there no security cameras watching this happen? Does that other guy not care that you're brutalizing a child? Does nobody in this world care about anything?
Fucking idiot. That is... Wait. Fucking idiot. That's who his character's supposed to be. He's an arsehole. I turned British.
Hold on real tight to that thought. It's gonna become relevant in just one moment. So then Hajime is understandably furious, as anyone would be, and actually manages to connect a light punch, and then Matt threatens to send him to the fucking hospital, but then Athena fucking Sykes teleports into the scene and saves the day. No, I am not fucking kidding. I'm not lying to you. Please believe me here. This actually happens in the show. Athena teleports into the scene out of fucking nowhere, and magically causes Matt's fist to lose any and all momentum. Gee, how lucky! How wonderfully convenient that Athena just happened to be nearby when she should be teaching her class at the moment, but what the fuck ever. Hajime understandably storms off and then the credits roll, and in case your brain wasn't already broken, it's about to get so much worse. So Matt walks up to Athena and says this line out loud with a straight face.
Munakata's orders were very clear. Investigate the dark side of Hope's Peak.
What the fuck? How did you put that into your script? Read it out loud during a table read, and have a voice actor record this line, and throughout all those steps, nobody saw any problems with this. In case you're not getting it, let me break this down for you. Matt was sent back to Hope's Peak Academy along with Athena to join her on her secret mission to expose the dark side of the school. He says this immediately before saying that Athena shouldn't stick up for a student being brutalized by the head of security. How did nobody catch this? Not even an intern? Nobody? Not a single person on the team saw any problems here. You see no problem with the fact that on your mission to expose the dark side of this academy, you are brutally assaulting innocent students, stomping on them, and spitting on them as they writhe in pain for committing the cardinal sin of asking a fucking question. Fuck off, you dumbass writers. But wait, it gets worse! He agrees with Hajime! He believes the school is trying to cover up the murders for the sake of their reputation. He says this after he did all this shit to Hajime! What in the name of the most geriatric fuck on the planet is this gelatinous excuse of a script?
Hey, I think your friend is using your friendship to get free stuff.
You know, you're totally right. He totally is doing that. This makes no goddamn sense. Athena even points out this glaring inconsistency, and in response, he says,
If he comes anywhere close to the truth, he'll be the one on a slab in the morgue.
And there goes the whole he's just an asshole excuse because he just admitted he made a conscious choice to brutalize a student for the most moronic reason imaginable. Dumbass. Alright, I can't take this shit anymore. If you're not gonna be subtle in what this whole series has been trying to rip off since day one, then I'm just gonna go ahead and make the damn comparison. There's this little game called Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. Maybe you've heard of it. And in it, there's a case that pits Apollo and Phoenix against each other. The Rookie Star from the sequel trilogy and the Ace Attorney from the original trilogy are about to face off against each other in a semi-civil court battle for the Founder's Orb to save the Kingdom of Khura'in. The player is initially stunned at first because Phoenix is representing a politician who seeks only to use the Founder's Orb for political gain despite it being an integral part of the success of the revolution in Khura'in. A revolution that Phoenix has unintentionally been spearheading as he fights to defend clients accused of murder even though it puts his own life on the line thanks to the Defense Culpability Act, which would land him the same punishment as his client if he were to fail. As well as the fact that his partner in crime is a part of the family who would want to fight for the salvation of the kingdom and the orb being returned to its rightful owner, and yet we find him in the plaintiff's chair actively fighting against everything he should be standing for. And as it turns out, the reason why is because he's being blackmailed by his client. And if he is unable to prove in court that his client is in the right, then a gruesome fate awaits someone very close to his heart. Again. His moral compass is torn between fighting for the truth and fighting to protect the people he cares about. Between doing his job and making sure innocent people don't come to harm. Which leaves him with no choice but to face off against the young attorney he's been mentoring for years, even when their values are truly aligned. And yet, he doesn't fucking beat the shit out of Apollo and just say, "Listen here, you little punk. Concede this case or else I'll rip off that bracelet and choke you to death with it." He still manages to fight alongside Apollo and figure out a way to outsmart politician and make sure everyone gets out of this mess in one piece. Meanwhile, in the Bizarro world, Matt refuses to use even a single brain cell to think of, I don't know, maybe trying to be sympathetic and understanding, and attempting to actually calm Hajime down so that he'll back off of his own volition, or anything else other than trying to actively piss him off. What were you gonna do if Athena didn't teleport into the scene? How far were you gonna go with this? Were you gonna beat him until he lost consciousness? Would you have been willing to kill him? Because the only reason you stopped was because Athena became an Enderman, and it seemed like you had no compunctions whatsoever about brutalizing an innocent student despite the fact that you had infinitely more options for how to keep him away from the truth that don't involve beating the ever-living shit out of him, you expired chocolate milkshake. Fuck the hell off, you dumbass show. But just in case your brain hasn't exploded yet, this episode has one last trick up its sleeve. When this scene first started, I was genuinely ready to praise it in this video. Chiaki's pure joy when she sees Hajime show up ready to play a new game together, only to feel like her whole world comes crumbling down around her when he tells her he can't stick around. The palpability of her emotional range in the scene is beyond words. She probably spent her whole day looking forward to this, and now that she's built up all her excitement towards something that can't happen today, she's devastated. It's so well constructed that I honestly had to check to make sure I was still watching the right show. But then I realized what was about to happen and I wanted to fucking die. You see, the reason Hajime can't hang out with Chiaki today is because he needs to go back to Hope's Peak Academy because he decided to sign on to the Kamakura project. And the reason why he decided to do that is because he wants to fucking impress Chiaki. No, you did not mishear me. Let me say that again. He is signing on to the Kamakura project, which will literally erase his personality and replace him with someone entirely different with the intent of creating the most hopeful and talented human being ever created because he feels like a worthless nobody and that he has to be somebody in order to impress the girl of his dreams. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you fucking forget what Chiaki told you seconds after you first mentioned the damn experiment to her in the first place? She told you not to do it because there's more to life than just being talented. Even the old guy told you that. And she very clearly likes you just the way you are. It's not like there's a law that prohibits you two from getting together because you suck and she's awesome. She clearly likes you. She was overjoyed when you showed up and was deflated and dejected when you told her you couldn't make it today. What is wrong with you? What are you doing? Who wrote this? Now you may be wondering why I'm making such a big deal out of this. Well, to put it simply, Hajime signing up for this program is one of the instrumental events that leads to the downfall of society, and the justification that this show provides for why he makes this choice, for why he makes the most important decision of the entire show, and what will ultimately lead to the apocalypse, is that Hajime wants to plug his fucking controller into Chiaki's console, except that makes no sense at all because she already fucking likes you and has encouraged you to be yourself and not sign up for the experiment, you witless gnome! Fuck off! This is the point that my brain just fucking gave up. This show was over. It was done. It was only episode 3 and everything was already completely broken. Nothing was making any goddamn sense and the little bits of hope present were completely drowned out almost instantly by another wave of bullshit right around the corner. Get me out of this show. Fuck off, you dumbass writers. Try again next time. Maybe the 4th time will be the charm. Although I seriously fucking doubt it. Thanks for watching everyone and I hope to see you all on Monday for the coverage of episode 4. Goodbye.